In this Planet Coaster 2 video, we are going to do a short graphics comparison between all Planet games. That said, we are talking about Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, and Planet Coaster 2. On screen you can see I did build the virtually exact same thing in all three games, and I made sure that we have the same sun setting, we have the same material, we have the same everything as much as you could, because not all of the games have exactly the same. So I was going, just for full transparency, we are on a temperate map. We are at exactly noon. That's the time of day I've chosen to go for. I made sure that I aligned all of the shadows, as you can see, perfectly fine, that all have a frontal sunlight direction, and I made sure that the whole arrangement of the entire build is the same. So we're starting over here with a Planet Coaster, as you can see. Again, I didn't have the same pieces in every game, which is a bit of a shame. We do have almost the same kind of concrete slash plaster slash stucco wall, which is the one I went for. I went for the smooth concrete wall in Planet Coaster. I went for the plaster wall in Planet Zoo, and I went for the plaster panels in Planet Coaster 2. Then I used the slate roof in both the games, Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, and I used the wooden roof that we also have recolor one in Planet Coaster 2, which I then adjusted to the color. I also placed down the same trees we have in all games, so I went for a date palm on the right hand side of the window to cast some shadows on top of the building, and I put a oak tree, the middle size in all three games, on the left hand side behind the building to get a bit of a background arrangement. I also put like a little lake to the left hand side of the building, and I also made sure that the whole bottom part is covered in a concrete pattern, as we do also have this in all games. I did put down a janitor as a staff member on all games, and I put down a bench on all games, even though I messed up the positioning of the one in Planet Coaster 1, but you know, for the sake of showcasing, that's all good. And also I put some lights in here. You can also see now in Planco 2, this looks also very different, and I also used the scale tool to adjust the scale a little bit of one of the palm trees, but overall I was really happy that I had most of the same pieces available, and also the scale was kind of weird in all games, and it almost felt like that in Planet Zoo it was almost the best way how the scale worked, and in Planet Coaster 2 it is the worst, which is a bit weird because it should all be the same scale. But now comparing all of these footages with each other, I actually noticed that Planet Coaster 2 seems to have an even worse dimension of their 4x4 meter walls in comparison to the other two games. Now you have them all on screen right now, and you can see what I mean. Like, look at the size of the janitor compared to from top left where you have Planet Zoo, and top right where there is Planet Coaster. Given the overall angle is a bit of a weird one, but you can definitely tell how the graphics look in these different games. It's getting really obvious as soon as I place down the janitor here. You can see the janitor in Planet Coaster looks a lot bigger in comparison to the building, and I did use the 4-meter walls in all them, and you can see this is just the footage is just in to show you that I exactly did the same in all builds, you know, just to make sure that we have an idea how everything works. The big props to Planet Zoo is the 3D grass, which is something I really would love to have back, and the overall color scope of the game, I guess, is something that people do still favor. But now let's go into the nitty-gritty bits of it. So we are flying over, and you can see the lighting in general is on all these three games. Planet Coaster surely the worst. Then Planet Zoo is pretty nice in its limits, but there's no comparison obviously to Planet Coaster 2, which looks so much better. Here you can see the same footage now in full screen, or almost full screen, like how it is in 16:9. And in Planet Zoo, the light is messed around completely. The walls do not block the light. It's completely wrong, way too bright. I didn't change. I used the light as it came out of the box. We start over here with the footage of Planet Coaster again. You can see there's no light casted. It is turned on. I made power everything for all the games, but you can see nothing really happens. In Planet Zoo, however, the lights are way too crazy, way too aggressive. They light up everything, even in daylight. Even though I like the sunlight coming in and how this little you know, spotlight is looking. And then we go into Planet Coaster 2. I must admit that the game just looks so much more modern, so much more nice, so much, I don't know, in every aspect looks better. The only thing that doesn't look better is the color scope. And this is something I want to really quickly talk about while we compare now the 3 or 4 images with each other. You can see now, switching over to Planet Coaster, how much cleaner everything looks. However, and I do get this, if you try to, it's very hard, I know, but try to just get rid of the way too warm color and imagine the game with toned down colors. Just look at the edges, look at the trees, look at the shadows, look at how whole light and bottom textures work. This game looks a lot better than the previous one, and also a lot better than Planet Zoo. And you can also see this in the lightings. I don't know what's going on with the water, to be honest. This is something I really don't like, but the reflections are nice and the water itself is nice. Yeah, talking about indoors, again, there is absolutely no comparison. I like this shot of Planet Zoo, given how the sunlight goes in. As long as it's sunlight, all is good. But yeah, I mean, compare that to Planet Coaster 2. It's a huge step forward. It's an insane step forward. And the same applies to virtually everything. Here you can see the shadows on the stucco walls. Specifically against Planet Zoo, it looked very good, in my opinion. But obviously, I know that there will be a lot of people now being annoyed again, that it's way too colorful and way too saturated, which I get, okay? I know that this is definitely a problem. However, if we look beyond that and we just look at the style, and I think this is potentially the one thing you need to understand, there is no chance to make this game look so much more different because the art style is the same. But now everything on screen right now will hopefully give you the proper idea why I'm constantly saying that Planet Coaster 2 is a huge step ahead, even from Planet Zoo. Now with all the same pieces and the same setting and on, you can definitely tell how much better it looks, how much more accurate it is. Also the textures on the ground, they are better. If you like them or not, it's a design question. It is not a graphics question. So the one thing is art style, which again is also going down to obviously the choice of color palette, I would say. We all agree that this still is way too tall, all the buildings and so on, the proportions aren't perfectly fine. But if you look beyond that, if you look into what this game now looks like in mostly every condition, the improvement, in my opinion, and now seeing this side by side was also very helpful for me, because I didn't think that the step was so big, but now seeing this next to each other, you can definitely tell how big of a step it was. You can even tell that in the distance with the light bleeding. You can see it in this shot, even the distance, compare the one from Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo to the top left. Even the distance, the clouds, the sky is better. The contrast on the stones, on the rocks on the left-hand side of the building is better. The whole smoothness of the shadows, specifically, I thought that they look the worst in Planet Zoo. Didn't even think of that, but looks amazing in Planet Coaster 2. The smoothness of everything, I think, and this may actually be one of the things why some people may think it's off, is also because of all the smoothness and all the fact that it's looking more realistic, makes the game look a little bit less sharp, which comes in naturally, because the other games were very sharp, unnaturally sharp, you even want to say, because real life isn't that sharp. So yeah, it's just looking a lot more modern, but I do admit, and just a couple of words of of my points, if you would now give me the same color palette as it was in Planet Zoo, I would, yes, fully 100%. I do need everything to be a lot less saturated and a lot less warm. This almost feels like there is a warmth filter on everything. Like if you go to Photoshop and increase the warmth filter, this is how it looks, and that must be adjusted. Either give us a chance to adjust this ourselves or make it in the game itself. But other than that, oh my god, the graphic step ahead is so big. And I hope this video was more helpful than the coaster was, because frankly, the coaster I built wasn't the most helpful one, I do admit, because in the POV, everything was a bit blurry and it just didn't pay off the way I wanted it to. So this is why I made another one, and hopefully this one is a lot more beneficial for you guys to tell the difference between those three. I certainly think this helped. Me personally, it did help a lot. And now with this most impressive shot for the indoors, I'm gonna leave you alone, and I'm patiently waiting for your feedback in the comments. Have a good one. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll talk to you in the next one.